President Donald Trump's company, along with the organization's longtime chief financial officer, have been indicted on charges which involve tax-related crimes. Trump Organization CFO Alan Weisselberg turned himself in this morning to the Manhattan District Attorney. A short time ago, he was escorted to the court in handcuffs to face charges. That indictment has been unsealed. We now know what is in the charges: grand larceny in the second degree and scheme to defraud in the first degree. And the assistant district attorney told the court Weisselberg avoided taxes of $1.7 million, calling it a sweeping and audacious illegal payment scheme orchestrated by, quote, senior executives. Weisselberg has pled not guilty and has just left the court. There's a lot more to those charges. I want to go to NBC Justice correspondent Pete Williams, who's been pouring through the 25 pages. Tell us essentially what these accusations are.
Well, the grand larceny statute in New York is often used in these tax evasion cases, and that's basically what this is, Lester. They say that he had an apartment that the Trump Organization paid for him on Riverside Drive in New York, paid his monthly garage expenses, his utilities, and his rent, that it also paid tuition expenses for members of his family, payment on a Mercedes-Benz for him and his wife, and also received unreported cash. Failure to pay his taxes on this, and also taxes on payments made to other executives and employees. So what the district attorney is saying here is that Alan Weisselberg is a CFO, a chief financial officer. He's the one who's supposed to know how these rules and how these laws work. He's the one who monitored all the dollars that came in and out, and surely he should have known that you have to pay taxes on these kinds of fringe benefits. Now, the statute that he's charged under in New York has a maximum penalty of 15 years in prison. Obviously, if he were ever convicted on these charges, his penalty would be much less than that. It's a first offense. And a big key question for him is now, will he cooperate? Because if he cooperates, that could potentially reduce his sentence. And by, in essence, throwing the book at him here for tax evasion, that's clearly what the district attorney is hoping.
All right, Pete, we understand the attorney for the Trump Organization, Alan Futerfas, is speaking to reporters.
And we're all aware, all of you and all of us are aware of the very significant financial crimes that have occurred by large financial institutions where this office did not take them on, did not prosecute them. Going back to 2008, the financial collapse of the United States, many of the firms that were involved in those events are located in Manhattan. We did not see this office go after those firms and drag them into court, those companies into court, and we're talking about $1 trillion in lost value to homeowners across the United States. So those are my thoughts, and I think that it is an improper precedent. I think the office knows this. I'm not saying anything to you all that they are not aware of, but I believe the political forces driving today's events are just that. It's politically driven, notwithstanding the statements by my colleague at the DA's office in court today.
Alan Futerfas, the attorney again for the Trump Organization, calling this political. That is a charge we've heard before and will likely hear a lot of. Hallie Jackson, our senior Washington correspondent, watching along with us. Hallie?
Yeah. Listen, this is not a surprise the way that Alan Futerfas is now out, the attorney for the Trump Organization, looking to paint this as essentially political persecution in the prosecution of former President Donald Trump. It's interesting, Lester, because he is now out there taking questions from reporters. This is a very public-facing pushback now from the Trump Organization, perhaps understanding the impact to the brand given the indictment that has just been unsealed and the charges against both the organization and its longtime CFO. This is the strategy that I have seen over the last really week since we've been seriously reporting that this could come down from those in the former president's orbit, that this is a continuation, as the former president has put it, of a witch hunt into him, that this is entirely political. And this is something, Lester, that in that courtroom just moments ago, the prosecutors tried to combat, tried to pre-butt, if you will, one of them saying that this case, the prosecutors say, is not about politics. They said this investigation, which is ongoing, is proper. They are making the case to the judge that this is not about politics, despite the claims from the Trump Organization that that is what they believe this is all about. The former president himself, Donald Trump, has repeatedly railed against the two people, the two entities leading this investigation, the Manhattan District Attorney, the New York Attorney General. There is no reason to believe that that will not continue at this point. But I can tell you, Lester, based on my reporting, despite sort of this public display of those close to Donald Trump saying, hey, this is nothing. Not nothing, but these are cars, these are apartments. This is not a huge deal. They're going after Alan Weisselberg, they claim, because in the eyes of those in the Trump organization, Weisselberg would not cooperate in giving over any, for example, dirt on former President Trump. That's the argument they're making publicly. Privately, there is a level of concern about how significant this is. I wouldn't characterize it as a freakout, if you will, but I think that there are those in the former president's orbit who understand the significance of what this could mean. To be clear, Donald Trump himself, Lester, is not part of these indictments, has not been charged, right? This isn't touching Donald Trump. This is related to people, to somebody that he's known for a very long time, and to the company that bears his name, from which he never fully divested, which was a huge issue back in the run-up to 2016, and an ethics question for him. So in that sense, this obviously relates to the former president, but he is not tied into the charges today. That doesn't mean that that is out of the realm of possibility, but if that were to happen, you're talking far, timeline-wise, far down the line on that, Lester. But certainly significant that Alan Futerfas, even as we speak, the Trump Organization attorney, is still out there holding court in front of court, Lester.
Yeah, Hallie, thank you. And criminal defense attorney and NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalas is with me. Danny, to the idea that this could go beyond Alan Weisselberg, Kerry Dunn, the assistant district attorney in court, says the illegal activity was orchestrated by the most senior executives, plural. We've only seen one executive charge here. What does that suggest?
It suggests that the senior executives included Donald Trump and other people in that high-ranking coterie. That's the suggestion. It's obviously not explicit there, but you just use logic. I mean, who else is left on the highest levels of this criminal indictment? Now, you think about holding corporations liable criminally in New York. You can do that if you show a high managerial agent committed the felony and was doing it to benefit the corporation. So who else is left beyond the CFO? And if it's, as it's reported, Donald Trump was meticulously involved in the management of his company, it seems hard to believe that, at least on some level, he was not aware of what was going on.